Hi and welcome to Den's Shed. I'm Den, this is the shed, and this is the mini Landrover so far. Right, started to get the chassis together now. You may recall some time ago I was making this fuel tank which sat here. There was a problem with the design I didn't realise till some time later. Mainly the fuel had to go uphill to get to the engine. Now, I thought being a diaphragm carburetor, that would be okay. Originally the engine sat this way in the original machine with the fuel tank above it, causing gravity to feed the carburetor. Now, I'm not a complete fool. I turned it this way up and I ran it for about an hour every day for a week, and it seemed okay, so I thought, well, that'll do. So I mounted the tank. Only place I could put it was here, without looking stupid, and it worked for a while. Eventually it became harder and harder to start. Cut a long story short, it kills the diaphragm. So I thought, well, I've got to try and get to the bottom of this. What am I going to do? So I got another carburetor on eBay, which is in fact a float chamber type, and I made this manifold which allows it to sit a little bit lower, and I lost faith in the diaphragm carb altogether because it kept doing strange things, and I thought, let's go with a float chamber carb and move it down, which worked, but it cut the power down a hell of a lot. So I decided against that. Went back to the original carburetor, made this lovely manifold, and this allows the original carb to sit 2 inches lower, and I've turned it 90 degrees to stop it fouling the frame. That would have worked. It doesn't run right. It doesn't like this. I don't know why, it's beyond my logic, but because the air's going around corners and things, it must restrict it. It doesn't like it, and it doesn't run properly, so I was stuck for a moment. So, back to the drawing board. I thought, let's just guess. And I robbed the carburetor off this, in my desperation. And on my quest I found that they're all made by the same company, almost. And the stud spacing from many engines is the same, 31mm. So that was dead handy. This particular carburetor has a needle and nozzle, like a motorbike one. It runs absolutely beautifully, and it sucked fuel uphill also, and it's more responsive, and it's noticeably much better, so I was very pleased. So I thought, right, make a new manifold, or insulator, and away we go. And then I had another problem. I realised now, because this carb takes in fuel at a lower point, we've actually got gravity feed, which we don't want. So now we've got the same problem in reverse. So I thought, no peace for the wicked, what am I going to do? So I had to move the fuel tank. So I butchered this one for the copper. That all went in the scrap bin. And I made the Mark II. So this tank now sits down here, which is way below the engine. And as we're all wise in hindsight, I thought, let's have a breather in there, which flows enough air to stop it gurgling and coming out when you fill it up. Also, I have my sight glass effort there, and the return line is plumbed in because the fuel comes back from the carb when you prime it. So at last we had a working fuel system, or so I thought. Then what? The fuel filter I bought lets crap through in minute particles. It's not good enough for those carburetors. So I had to rob the original one out of the strimmer, which sits inside the tank, so it's not much good outside it. And I had to make this capsule go around it. So at last we had a running engine. It took about a year to figure that out. It was an absolute pain in the arse. So now I can get on with the rest of it. The servo that powers the steering was only a 25 kilogram one. And it was slightly underpowered. It was just enough, and I thought, I managed to get hold of this one, 60 kilograms, and it has the identical footprint, so it bolts straight in, which is dead handy, and it's actually shallower by about 10mm. So I cut the bracket back and moved it upward, giving me some more ground clearance, so that was better. So now it's way powerful enough. Only drawback was, the levers you get with them aren't actually long enough for my design. It's a lovely beefy bit of kit there, and it's 18 teeth, and there's not much available on 18 teeth splines. So what I had to do was billet machine another arm up there. I cut that spline on manual milling machine using a dividing head, and then broached the spline in there. So this one's about half an inch longer. That now will suffice. So that's the steering sorted out. What else? Oh yeah, the radio died. So I had to go for this new FlySky one. And thanks to a tip from RC with Adam, I know how to use it. Right, so I'll just do a quick systems check, see if it's still working. This is a bit crude, I know. I haven't got the original loom here. That'll come at a later date. Right. Ah, there we are. So, there's our shifter. There's a square drive that goes in and out of the clutch on the strimmer. And it's reverse, neutral, and forward. Steering's there. See, that's seriously powerful, so more than enough. The throttle is there, and the brake is there. So that's the chassis almost together. I'm going to put the engine down the fuel tank and then start building the rest of it. So that'll do for now. I'll see you next time.